But if you think about intracellular healing, there's a full body. That's a full body transformation. And when you're talking about healing your DNA and some of the other your polymorphisms, I mean that's when you're getting to that level.
Holy.
So that's
healing your DNA.
Oh yeah.
You can do that.
That's not your DNA and the expression and how you're affecting the next generations. There's possibilities there. Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I want to buy a continuous blood glucose monitor.
Oh yeah.
But I need a doctor. Could you prescribe me one?
No.
Dang it. I need a doctor who will prescribe one even though I'm not diabetic.
Yeah.
So that I can, because they link wirelessly to your phone now, and it gives you, so a lot of guys will wear them for 3 months.
Yeah.
And they just track every food they eat.
Yeah.
And a guy I know was tracking, and because everyone has different blood sugar responses to rice, to potatoes, to even wheat, to kale.
Mm-hmm.
This guy ate green beans of all things, and his blood sugar went through the roof because he was low level allergic to green beans, and he never knew.
I'm not sure if that's too many rabbit trails,
no,
but
you're nailing it.
I get excited just talking about stuff.
Oh, I'm so fired up right now. You have no idea. That's amazing.
That's like a fast track. It's like a shortcut to really feel better in a hurry.
So I hate fasting too.
Yeah.
But I like doing it with other people because then it keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
So we gotta get one in the calendar.
All right.
Because I really wanna.
If it's not working great, then I'm gonna try to figure out why is that muscle not getting a good signal from the nervous system? Because so much of the time,
okay.
it's not the muscle's fault. The muscle could be good there, well developed, strong enough, but for some reason, because of somewhere between when that nervous system is trying to send the signal from the brain, going down through the brain stem, the neck, through the thoracic spine, the lumbar spine, and then finally that signal gets out to that hip muscle.
Yeah.
Anywhere along that pathway could be affecting or inhibiting that nerve signal. And if it is, that muscle might not be firing when you're asking it to. And again, not the muscle's fault, but the muscle might not be kicking in when you're wanting it to.
This is an era of spectacular progress, particularly in bringing the good things of life to more and more people.
And from their talks was forged a map for the path to freedom, a compact for the future, A map for the path to freedom.
But really knew the Lord.
Yeah.
Mystic theologian.
Are you okay with that word, mystic?
Oh, heck yeah. Very much so. A lot of people aren't, but that's okay.
No.
We're taking it back. Hey, it's our stuff, dude.
That's right.
It's our frickin' stuff.
That's right. So
we gotta take it back.
You gotta put your flag on that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, let's jump in.
Yeah.
Chet, you're a doctor of physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
We are good friends, and I never get enough time to really pick your brain on all of the knowledge and skill and years of experience you've had. You've worked on me a number of times. I've had dramatic effects and results from you working on me. And I just want to go into it with you, spirit, soul, body, stuff that's, you've learned over the years. But tell me, first of all, because I've seen different physical therapists before, and I've seen chiropractors before, but I've never experienced anything quite like what you do. So what makes what you do different, and let's unpack some of that.
Good question. It's really fun to work on people. I just feel honored, especially work on people like you that are fit, in shape, know their body, and it's really
totally
fun. I feel like there's a really fun. I feel like I'm in my niche there when I'm. So that's enjoyable. What may be different? just that I love the whole body approach. I know that's a catch-all term. A lot of people would say that, but I love to look at everything from how a person is resting to what they're putting in their body, how they're eating. If we're working on their ankle, we might be looking at their head.
Yes.
Weird stuff like that. But the whole body works together, and if you think that the body's a group nervous system, then you've got to look at all the different pieces and how they work together. I've been like really fortunate to spend time with just so many good therapists and chiropractors and massage therapists over the years to just try to integrate different pieces from different disciplines. Like I was able to be with chiropractors in Minneapolis and Vancouver and physical therapists in San Diego, and people from all around to try to glean nuggets of wisdom from here and there. So I love working on the visceral mobility and how people's abdominal organs, the fascia around them moves, and how that can affect the spine.
We definitely need to talk about fascia.
Sure.
That let's just side note that guy, because fascia blows my mind. Continue.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, but fascia is so much around everything that we can talk about fascia in the quadriceps and how that attaches to the knee. But we can also talk about fascia around the liver and how that integrates and affects the right shoulder motion, or how your neck is moving, or how you twist and rotate, and all the mobility of your digestive system and the abdominal organs can really affect how the spine moves, and whether the spine has to compensate or gets to move properly. So there's so many different things entwined in that, but I guess that's one of the things I always look at with almost everyone, and so that's one of the things that makes what I do a little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going into, like, when I lay down on your table, what do you call that?
Treatment table?
A treatment table.
Yeah.
Yes. Kind of like a massage table, but different. And you're going through and you're testing just like strength points.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of going through and like poking nerves and realigning some things. Can you describe what that process is to me, because I've never fully understood it?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's way easier to demonstrate than it is to explain with words.
Okay.
So, but I'm going through first to see if your muscles are firing effectively, like when you ask them to.
Okay.
So if you're trying to hold your leg out to the side, for instance, like it's the certain hip muscle that does that. It's the hip abductor, like the glute medius might be trying to fire.
Right.
And if it's working great, then excellent.
Okay.
If it's not working great, then I'm going to try to figure out why is that muscle not getting a good signal from the nervous system. Because so much of the time,
mind-blowing. Okay.
It's not the muscle's fault. The muscle could be good there, well developed, strong enough, but for some reason, because of somewhere between when that nervous system is trying to send a signal from the brain, going down through the brain stem, the neck, through the thoracic spine, the lumbar spine, and then finally that signal gets out to that hip muscle.
Yeah.
Anywhere along that pathway could be affecting or inhibiting that nerve signal. And if it is, that muscle might not be firing when you're asking it to. And again, not the muscle's fault. But the muscle might not be kicking in when you're wanting it to. For instance, working with athletes, sometimes they'll have a sprained ankle, and that sprained ankle could be causing the whole nervous system to temporarily, when you're landing on that sprained ankle, let's say you came back too early and it wasn't really fully healed, and when you're landing on that sprained ankle, your whole nervous system is not firing well, especially on that side. Your low back, you could have an injury through your knee, an injury through your low back, because that side of the body is not firing well. So sometimes it's from the bottom up, sometimes it's from the top down.
Interesting.
We really have to investigate and find out why are those muscles not firing well.
Yes.
So I'll go through and test a bunch of different muscles.
And you physically do that by, like, Curtis, hold your leg out to the side in this position.
Yeah.
So it's however many inches off the table, let's say, and you apply a steady pressure.
Yes.
And then you do the same thing to the other side. And you can tell, because it's what you do and you have that, tactile feel thing, is that muscle firing correctly? Is that...
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's kind of like a reverse engineering process of trying to track down what's interrupting the system.
Yes.
So could you go into that a little bit of like what are some of the things that could be interrupting?
Yeah.
And how you fix that?
Yeah, trying to investigate that is sometimes we'll use pressure, or like I will be testing and I'll actually put my hands on let's say an abdominal organ, or put my hands on a rib, or put my hands on let's say a certain cranial bone or in the cervical spine, and push on something and then retest it, or test it while I have my hands on something to give me an indication, okay, is that a spot that's affecting it or not? Because your strength can change instantaneously.
Just by...
And that's why we know it's not a muscle issue. If your strength changes with certain pressure, or if I correct, if I'm putting some pressure on that helps to correct a problem, and then your muscle is able to fully contract, then we know it's not a muscle problem.
My mind's blown right now.
See, muscles are very much, if we think of a hierarchy chain, muscles are kind of way down here as far as importance to the body. We need to think like the body, what's the body going to fully protect in its layers of importance? And the circulatory system and the nervous system are way up at the top. And the muscles really lower down, because your body can live without a quad muscle, but it can't live really well without a femoral artery. And so, or without, with that nerve going to the muscle is way more important. So your body's going to really protect and adjust and compensate along the chain. I'm not sure if that's too many rabbit trails, but
you're nailing it.
I get excited just talking about stuff.
Oh, I'm so fired up right now. You have no idea. That's amazing.
So I sometimes like working on hockey players or working on football players, and you're working on concussions, and you'll have a weakness that you pick up elsewhere in the body, but you'll trace it back to their cranial bones need work. So I mean, typically we think of the skull as just like one piece of bone, but there's like many different bones that fit together that are in joints called sutures. They're like really firm joints, but there still can be a degree of movement. And with concussions or blows to the head or that sort of thing, there's ways to work on the cranial bones to help them sit or be in a better alignment, so that you can number one, have muscles relax, maybe in the neck, maybe post-concussion syndrome and headaches and muscle tension, that can be a factor, but also for the rest of the body to fire and work effectively. So that's another thing to look at.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but there's all different factors. But that's something a lot of different every physical therapist is trained in kind of grading muscle tests as far as is it strong or medium or weak or that sort of thing. So that's something, we do in school from way back, but then there's some chiropractic views that have kind of influenced how I test specifically too.
Fascinating. So it's just the fact that like I can have, let's just say I can have a 50% reduction in strength from my hip flexor. And then you hit, you apply pressure to a certain different part of my body. Is that considered it's a part of the nervous system?
Yeah, kind of up the neurokinetic chain. Yeah.
And then I get 25% more, or maybe I get 50% back, so I'm 100%. Why does that work?
I don't know if we fully understand why, but there's this threshold potential. So like when a nerve fires, you kind of have these nerves at the synapse. It can let other neurotransmitters go across the synapse. So there's this level is like, okay, here's the nerve firing threshold up here. So sometimes our nerve is trying to fire, and it's like going up there to hit that threshold, and it just can't quite get there. It can't quite get there. And sometimes that pressure, like so for instance, if we have like a C2 vertebrae over here there's a lot of tension around it, it's not moving well. So if we touch or connect, even by tactile stimulus, because the body is very sensitive, there's sensory nerves coming from every area of the body, right? And so if we can put our fingers on it, and that specific area of the body can get a tactile stimulus, like pressure, then that can be enough to temporarily, it doesn't fix the problem just by touching it, but temporarily can get that nerve to go past the threshold where you can get a firing.
Whoa.
Instead of just
missing.
just kind of arcing out or not hitting that threshold.
Yeah.
That's the best theory that I know as far as to explain why that happens.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And with injuries like that, is it always end up kind of being a nerve issue, or like are nerves always affected? Like, say you tear a ligament in your ankle, like obviously the ligament's torn, so that's got to get repaired.
Yeah.
But what else goes on? Like, maybe we should use an example because it's such a broad question. I don't know. What do you?
That's such a great question, and it's so true. Is it always just a nerve? No, the nerve thing is a really easy indicator for me to see, and it gives me feedback immediately if we're making a change.
Which that right there is such a huge key.
Yeah.
To be a feedback system of, okay, we did this, and you just gained 25% more strength in this area. Like an immediate feedback. And in general, with health, fitness, longevity, that's one of the biggest points of frustration for me, is how unmeasurable things are. It's all so like anecdotal.
Right.
And I feel kind of like this, and when I drink caffeine, I know I feel this, but it takes like 3 or 4 days, and it's like, so the idea of something like an Aura ring to be able to track real time HRV, heartbeat, sleep, although I haven't heard great things about like the actual accuracy of sleep things, or like HRV measurements, or like tracking your DNA panel and that whole thing, which we were talking about. It's so encouraging to me. My goal is, I'm going on a rabbit trail here, but I really, my next, like, I don't know, Christmas present or whatever, next big purchase, I want to buy a continuous blood glucose monitor.
Oh, yeah.
One of the, but I need a doctor could you prescribe me one of those? Dang it. I need a doctor who will like prescribe one even though I'm not diabetic.
Yeah.
So that I can, because they like link wirelessly to your phone now, and it gives you, so a lot of guys will wear them for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And they just track every food they eat. Yeah. And like a guy I know was tracking, and because everyone has different blood sugar responses to rice, to potatoes, to even like wheat, to kale. Like this guy ate green beans of all things, and his blood sugar went through the roof because he was low level, like allergic to green beans, and he never knew. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like little nuances and things like that. Like I might be able to tolerate a lot more white rice and keep a steady blood glucose level. And that's like, for people who may not understand, like regulating your blood glucose and your blood sugar level is like probably number one key to health, longevity, and staying away from disease. Like that's the one factor that really predisposes people to all-cause mortality, is like spiking your blood sugar all the time with foods we eat, or with high amounts of stress, or all kinds of things. But I really want to get that monitor so I can like get the feedback real time.
The accurate measurement of.
Yes. Right. So measuring is such a huge thing for me. Yeah. That I so value. So that's a really fascinating piece of what you do.
Yeah. Well, you're exactly right. Those numbers are good, but they can be affected by everything. So I could have the same person on the table, a week apart, and they could have gone on a long flight,
Right.
and nothing mechanically, nothing biomechanically would necessarily gone wrong in their body. They didn't have some huge injury or anything like this, but went on a long flight and their sleep cycle was totally messed up, or the pressure changes in the plane were a little off or something like that, and that could totally affect how their body's firing. So as I could see some problems in their body as in some weakness or an indicator that was off, but it wouldn't necessarily be a biomechanical thing. It's not like the nerve's fault. It's just maybe a sleep problem, or it was a nutritional thing, or they ate completely different than they had been eating, for the weeks prior. So,
right.
I mean, you know me. I'm not like, nutrition is such a huge part of people getting better, that I love talking to people about that. I actually, some of the funnest stories I have is when people get better without, us doing anything magical. It's just them recognizing changes they can make and getting better on their own. That's cool. When people can be empowered to make their own changes, I think that's huge. That's really healthy. Yeah.
That's huge. So what are some of the things for you? So what you're talking about to me is like having a real sensitivity and awareness of our own body, soul, spirit.
Yeah, totally.
Which, I mean, I know for me, like that's something I really want to grow in. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us Americans are like good at just pushing through and just like getting it done and working. Mm-hmm. But what would you say to, like, are there any, maybe just for you, examples of like, I know I've learned to be more self-aware in this area, or I know when I sleep this amount, like, is there anything for you where you've developed an awareness of like, I really need to take care of myself in this area because that affects 5 other things?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's so many things, but I mean, you probably hit the nail on the head when you said sleep, because I'm Enneagram 3, I'm an achiever, so it's hard for me to take time away from what I need to get done to sleep and rest.
Yes.
But God started with the Sabbath, like first day of the week, like God started with rest, right? And so resting first and keeping rest a priority is, like, for me, that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of nutritional things that I know with my body that I feel great with that, I don't feel great with that.
Yeah.
But rest might be the biggest one.
The biggest one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's so much healing that takes place when we're sleeping. And if we have proper sleep cycles and in the circadian rhythms of the body, that's when most of the healing, a good percentage of the healing is taking place.
Yeah.
Probably most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard recently, and I've been trying to practice this, but first thing in the morning, getting outside and getting sunlight on you is one of the most powerful things you can do to actually like wake you up and jumpstart your circadian rhythm, which actually, like, I heard it described like going to bed or like good night's sleep actually starts first thing in the morning by the way that you take care of your circadian rhythm, and getting like natural light exposure kickstarts your brain. And I don't know all the scientific language surrounding that, but funnily enough, we were just talking about the 23andMe or the we didn't do that. We did the Ancestry.com DNA tests, like $100. Send your saliva in, and they give you like 60, or well, they give you your DNA sequence basically, and then I plugged that into Dr. Rhonda Patrick's $5 like online DNA reader program. Let's say it's not called that, but it's the equivalent. And she gives you like a 60-page long, like detailed but bullet pointed essentially report on the most significant gene polymorphisms and different things. One of mine was a gene polymorphism that made my circadian rhythm slightly malfunction. And there's a slight malfunction or disposition to not working there. And so it said, I'm extra sensitive to light, basically.
Oh.
And it can work for me or against me. So like in the morning, if I get light, it's like maybe it affects the average person
Right.
at like a level 4.
Yeah.
It does me like 8.
Wow.
Or at night, if I'm trying to get ready for bed,
Yep.
if I'm like looking at a screen or I'm like, or bright lights are in a room, it's like almost is painful. Like it affects me so much. Same deal with kind of like the seasonal affective disorder type thing. Like days and days on end of rain. Like that first golden sliver of sunshine I see after days of rain is it's ecstasy. And it's not
The
because
level of hope
it's not like that's pretty.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
There's something in your DNA.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like it makes no sense to me how it completely alters and changes my mood by light being transposed into my eyeballs and into my brain.
Yeah.
Deeply, and it's actually told me to like supplement with like light therapy, like Juve lights and stuff, which is I don't know.
Cool.
Those are expensive and pricey, and I don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but sunlight, man. So those little things, you know.
This is California, you can get it.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for California, man. Oh my gosh,
It's awesome.
so grateful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about injury recovery a little bit.
Yeah.
Huge topic, but do you have any specific tips, ideas? Like one of the things I've been thinking about is like regular body maintenance. You know, we go to the dentist and we're like every, once in a while we go and get a cleaning and, we get our teeth looked at and but we never do that for our muscular skeletal, nerve system.
Yeah.
And it's almost like how much more important is like your, nerve system and body as a whole. So do you have any ideas on like general, I'm changing the question a little bit for you, but general like maintenance that we could be doing on our bodies and what that could look like, and then even injury recovery if there's like chronic pain or issues?
Yes. I mean, there's, as a practitioner, sure, I love prevention. I love prevention more than treatment. So I love working with people on a regular basis, whether it's once every quarter, 4 times a year, or once every month, or whatever their needs are. But I love that aspect. That's totally up my alley. I love to do that. But people can do so much for themselves just in some of the things that we mentioned, as far as water drinking, good rest, and nutrition. I mean, those are huge right there. Because when we talk about the nervous system firing well and the body working well as a whole, we need to talk about what causes so much of the musculoskeletal disease, inflammatory levels. So the foods we eat, what we're putting in and on our bodies is probably one of the biggest factors in how we feel in degenerative arthritis, in Parkinson's. All those things.
That's a real sneaker of a problem. Because people don't think about that at all.
Like our society is pretty in tune with this might cause heart disease in my future. This might even go so far as to say, if I eat this all the time, it might cause cancer. But I think we have yet to think that, eating this on a regular basis could cause my elbow to continue hurting, or eating this on a regular basis could like bring on that knee pain that I've been trying to battle. So those are the things that if a person, which so many are, not allergic to gluten in a actual allergy sort of way, like a celiac disease, but sensitive to it. I mean the biggest 4 things, if you can not have gluten, not have dairy, not have trans fats and hydrogenated oils, those are like the biggest things, and taking out processed sugar. I mean, so if you can remove those things and eat fruits and vegetables, a high level of raw vegetables, good healthy fruits. I mean, that right there will prevent so much musculoskeletal disease, prevent so much nervous system malfunction. I mean, they'll just like cure what ails you. I mean, there's going to be a time and a place for working on structural things, but eating fruits and vegetables is just amazing. Green juicing. So I've seen so many cases of people who have had a specific problem. Even it's been tough for me to work on it. Yeah. Doing a green juice fast and whammo. Like a green juice, like celery juice, kale, cucumber, those sort of juicing, not blending. Yeah. Not the whole plant, but actually getting the juice out. That can just be so powerful.
Primarily juicing vegetables over fruits.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. I mean, you throw in a lemon there for flavor, or throw in a green apple. If you need to help your flavor. But vegetable juice is so powerful in the anti-inflammatory aspects that even when you're thinking about just general stiffness and achiness, just like get up in the morning and I'm stiff, all those things can be like a general effect of the food we're eating and what we're drinking, just not feeling well to us, even not so much at the joint level, but even in the fascia level, like you're talking about. When you think about an overall inflammatory state of our body, it's usually about what's on and in our body. We could get into chemicals. We could talk about chemicals that we encounter during the day. Yeah. That's another whole topic. Sometimes our body, when those chemicals get on and in our body reacts to them as it's like an invader. So there's that inflammatory response. Yes. There's a inflammatory response to that chemical. Yes. So we have that chemical inside of us now that we just ate or rubbed on us or whatever, and there's that inflammatory response in that local skin area, in that fascia, in the bloodstream, or whatever it is. That inflammatory response is what makes us either feel stiff or gives us that pain or whatever that might be.
Or maybe you just wake up tired. Yeah. And maybe you always wake up tired. Yeah. So that it's really hard to narrow down what the heck is actually going on. Mm-hmm. But the way I think about it is like, if I can't eat it, I don't want it on my body or in my home, because it's going to get on my body, and your body is like this big like tongue. It's you soak things up through your body. Like when you shower alone, like I think you gain like half a pound of water just through osmosis in your skin, which is just blows my mind. Totally. Just showering. Yeah. And then think about like all the creams and lotions as a reference to Nacho Libre. Yeah. Love that movie. But so real quick, so I want to talk about juice fasting for a sec, and then to fascia. Okay. How long fasts are people doing that you're seeing? And this is just juice?
Well, yeah, I don't, I'm not trying to be a medical doctor. I'm not trying to prescribe or treat anything to anybody. But I mean, there's some sources out there. I can get some links and sources for you. But people are juice fasting 90 days, 120 days. That's the longest I've heard, is 90 to 120 days juice fasting. Okay. You have to drink a lot of juice to sustain yourself there, but that's a
long time.
It's time consuming, but if you think about intracellular healing, there's a full body. That's a full body transformation. And when you're talking about healing your DNA and some of your polymorphisms, I mean, that's when you're getting to that level.
Holy.
So that's
healing your DNA.
Oh yeah.
You can do that.
That's not your DNA and the expression and how you're affecting the next generations. There's possibilities there. Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so you can feel better in 3 days. I mean, you can feel better by eating a kind of a reasonable diet and just adding some good nutrients in. I mean, there's some certain key supplements that adding in the right amount of magnesium, and you can have less aches in your muscles, or just adding some green juice into your existing diet. So not everybody has to be super extreme.
Yeah.
And different people are going to be ready for crazy stuff, and different people are going to be like, okay, this is all I have capacity for right now. But maybe you have capacity to add in magnesium right now and keep up your normal diet. Maybe you have capacity to add in magnesium and you can add in 1 green juice a day. You know,
Right.
and maybe you have capacity to say, hey, like my kids are gone for the weekend, I'm going to do a 3-day juice fast. And at the end of 3 days, you know, then start adding other good foods back in. So that can be just a great detoxification right there.
Wow.
So it doesn't have to be huge and scary.
Right.
It could be really manageable and doable too.
Totally. When's your next juice fast? Do you have any ideas?
I love talking about fasting. I hate fasting.
But you hate it. I do too.
I asked my wife.
But I don't. I've never done a strict, just like juice fast, where I'm like really, I'm just taking in like I've done water and then I've done Daniel, but I don't think I've ever done like a juicing fast.
The whole purpose of a juicing fast is healing at the cellular level, because your digestive system has to do this much, but the amount of nutrients you're getting in is this much. So you think like, okay, when I'm eating food, you know, your digestive system has to work. So a lot of your body's energy goes into digestion. And with a fast, a water fast, your body can basically, in a good way, shut down digestion and focus on whatever it needs to heal. So some people do choose to, like, a water fast is really healing for some people. But you're not getting a lot of the nutrients in. With a juice fast, then your digestive system doesn't have to do much, because all the cellulose is taken out through the juicing process. That's why it's not blending. It's not a liquid diet. It's not blending in a smoothie sense. It's a juice. So cellulose taken out, your body can digest it very, very quickly, and then use all the mass amount of nutrients in those vegetables for that cellular repair and cellular healing.
Wow. Hopefully nothing getting in the way, like no other inflammatory foods or that, you know, it's kind of like a shortcut to healing.
Yeah, you want to talk about a fast track. I mean, you could spend a lot of time trying to eat healthy and like starting to cut out certain things. But if you want a fast track or a shortcut, as long as your doctor's okay with it and you're okay with it.
Hey, honey. Tell people about Patreon.
Sorry, I had to break really quickly. If you like the Wise Life Blueprint, which, if you're watching this,
What's going on?
Sir, please stay off the road. If you like the Wise Life Blueprint, which I'm sure you do if you're watching this, you should subscribe. You should donate $1 a month.
And subscribe.
Because you don't want us to become broke-ass millennials, because my husband's doing a podcast full-time.
And it takes a lot of time.
It does take a lot of time.
And it's silly, but we love it.
But yeah. So yeah, do that.
That's like a fast track. It's like a shortcut to really feel better, not hurry.
So I hate fasting too.
Yeah.
But I like doing it with other people, because then it keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
So we got to
do this.
We got to get one in the calendar.
All right.
Because I really want to. You've got me inspired now.
Yeah. And it. I was gonna say, the whole process is, you know, can affect your whole body. I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, I don't juice fast super often, but we try to have juice. We don't have it every day, but at least 5 days out of 7. We're having green juice.
Yeah, that's a ton.
And so lately it's been about 24 ounces.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's just that's what I usually start with as far as in the day.
Really? Before coffee?
Sometimes I'll have coffee first.
Yeah.
And then an hour or two later I'll have green juice.
Okay.
And then wait a little while and then I have other stuff, have a smoothie or have salad or that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, the idea is we try to get ourselves to a place nutritionally that we don't have to do juice fast is going to be good every once in a while, but where we can maintain a really optimal level, where we can have juice every day and eat well every day, so that we don't have to like do these huge detoxes because we don't have so much bad stuff coming in.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Got it.
But I was going to say, even when we talk about fasting or intermittent fasting, one of the best things for healing and for that maintenance is just that regular fasting period in the night. And I've played with this. I've done all sorts of different things. I've done some different intermittent fasting protocols where I've just eaten once a day, more in the evening, and I've some of that's been okay.
You
but
did that
looking
for
at
months.
Yeah, I really gave that. I wanted to really try that, but when I've looked at some other research now, it's shifted that you do so much better. Your circadian rhythm does so much better if you move that meal or that eating window. If we're talking about intermittent fasting, we would call it eating window is the window which you're eating in, whether it's 12 to 5 or whether it's 8 a.m. So if you move that eating window earlier, and if you actually eat breakfast and eat lunch, you're actually better off
than
stopping at, let's say, 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. or 6, and then your fasting period would go from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. There's 12 hours of fasting.
Yeah.
And then till maybe like 8, there's 14 hours of fasting.
Right.
So then you just intermittent fasting 14 hours. Your digestive system got a break, and your circadian rhythm was much better than if you would have intermittent fasted the morning and then eaten a whole lot right before bed. Because I used to do a lot of that, and just over time you're not sleeping, you're not getting the deep rest that you should because your digestive system is working so hard.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah. Your body temperature raises a little bit too, from what I understand. Yeah. And your body temperature needs to, when you eat, it rises. When you want to sleep, to go into deep sleep, it needs to drop. Yeah, there's some fabulous videos from Dr. Greger, like just showing the research behind that. That's what convinced me that, okay, I need to shift my eating. I need to shift that cycle. Have you done that?
Yeah.
You feel like it's
I definitely
changed?
No, I'm not saying I'm perfect.
Yeah.
Sometimes I screw up and eat again at 8 or 9 before bed or something like that. Trying to eat earlier, I always rest better. I always feel better when I do that. Fascinating. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, fascia. Setting up the tone. I heard fascia described like saran wrap for your muscles. And I don't know if you agree with that or not, but it's this kind of blew my mind when my wife and I went deer hunting and we were butchering a deer. Sorry to all the vegans out there. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Except not really. I'm just kidding. But this deer, I mean, it was alive an hour ago. Yep. And now we're skinning it. Yeah. And it was like silver, like illuminescent, shining, silvery, coverings and like coatings, like almost like liquid, but it had rigidity to it over every little fold of muscle, and that kind of just encased everything together. It was very strong. But it was just like, it looked like life itself. And then like ligaments and stuff, how ligaments tie right into muscle. Yes. Yeah. Like it just completely blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what it actually looks like. Because I'd never like butchered a real animal before. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just really was illuminating to me. So tell me a little bit about what is fascia in your understanding, and then how does that affect the body? What does it do? Yeah. How do we take care of it? Yeah, that's a huge topic, because for the first part of my career, I mean, really focusing on fascia, myofascial release, really treating the fascia was like a lot of what we did in the very beginning, and it's still very, very powerful. I've just added a few many other pieces to try to accentuate that. But yeah, treating the fascia is amazing, and
and the fascia really is everything you described. It's like that all-encompassing connective tissue.
Yes.
That's made up of these collagen fibers of the body.
Okay,
and
so it's a collagen thing.
Really gives structure to, and thinking of connective tissue as not as dense and organized, and then getting down to the ligament level and the tendon level being very organized and very dense. Thinking of the whole body, being, I could pull on your toe fascia and essentially have an effect on your right ear fascia. So all the fascia is connected.
What?
So we think in terms of like, okay, here's my bicep starts here, my bicep ends right here. So it's point A to point B, muscle contracts. But when we think of fascia, we've got to think of that, okay, how did this scar that I got down here affect the pain that I'm having now up here? Well, because the fascia is all connected. How does my neck affect down here? Is of course the nerves, but also the fascia, because it's all one piece. So you can't separate just that fascia around the bicep muscle, because it's continuous. The tendon inserts down here,
right,
but then the fascia continues to keep going all the way down to the fingertips.
Right.
So it's all connected, all one piece, and can be, I don't want to belabor this point too much, but
no, it's fine.
Can be affected by nutrition and sleep and water drinking, hydration, all those things. So all those things still affect the fascia just as much as they do the nervous system. But how the fascia moves, and that's why regular movement is so important for the nervous system and circulation, because the fascia can get stuck, stagnant, not moving, then it's going to affect that circulation. It's going to affect that fascia. And then, so that's a big reason why we can feel tight or constricted in different areas. Is that that fascia is not moving well. The circulation in that area is maybe a little bit stagnant because that connective tissue is not moving well.
Wow.
Is
fascia, two questions. Is it just on the outside? Like, is it something that just lays right underneath the skin, or does it actually fold like cross through the body and through muscle? Do you know?
Yes, absolutely.
All
permeating. Think of all different levels. Okay. And the muscle, around the muscle, but not just around the outside of the muscle. Like underneath the skin, yes, but around the backside of the muscle.
Right.
And within the muscle. Think of all the different muscle fibers, like the actin, myosin filaments that make this muscle contract. Think of on a microscopic level, then the fascia around the connective tissue around those individual muscle fibers, not just around the muscle itself, but the fibers. And in my book, I have some.
Grab it.
I think there might be a.
Just watch your mic there. I think
there might be a picture of that. I mean, you can get so many good pictures on the internet about that, but it's totally understandable when you see it kind of from a side. Oh yeah, this probably is not it's probably not a great view, but that picture might give you a little bit of an indication as far as all the different levels and layers, even on a muscular perspective.
Oh my gosh.
But then you think like all the organs, and then the liver, then around your liver, around your stomach, around your esophagus and your trachea and your neck, there's fascia wrapping around my esophagus and then around my stomach, front and back. So all these levels of connective tissue being connected to my hip, and I have hip pain because I had scar tissue from my C-section, or I had my appendix taken out when I was 16, and now that scar tissue through here affected the fascia, and now I have, let's say, hip pain on that side because this fascia here is stuck from an old injury.
Wow, because they literally sliced it open.
Right. And so
did they re-stitch fascia together, or?
No, yes and no, because they're doing muscle, when they're bringing together muscle layers and things, but so much of that fascia gets mixed, and then you have just scar tissue in different pieces, there's oftentimes
that's a complicated thing.
Oh yeah, you can't. There's going to be times in the fascial layers you just can't stitch fascia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
and it's like it's a thin substance, yeah. Generally speaking.
Yeah, and even around the muscle fiber level, I mean, it's extremely thin. Yeah.
And what does healthy fascia look like and do? Like what would it look like in its ideal form?
Made up the majority of water.
Okay.
Very, very slippery.
Okay.
Like where movement would be effortless, because the gliding that happens would be quite easy. So the scapula moving over the ribs and all that fascia in there, that would be gliding well, because that fascia is moving easily, and there's not scar tissue in there or kinks in the fascia, so to speak.
Interesting. Okay.
When we think of like a lot of myofascial therapists think in terms of, where there's a lot
something called a myofascial therapist.
Yeah.
That they specialize in this area.
Right. They really specialize in myofascial release, or releasing that myofascial or that fascial system. So, they're working in terms of where is the fascia bound up at, or where is it kinked or twisted or bound up at, and then trying to release that.
What would that look like? Would it feel like a knot?
Yeah, it could feel like
you know how you can feel it like a knot in the muscle, or is that even like, when you're massaging someone's shoulders and you can feel something in there, and you just kind of press on it and you can actually feel it kind of release. Is that what is that? Is that muscle? Is that fascia? Is it both?
Yes, in a place, a kind of a place. It's called like trigger point therapy, and working on that trigger point. It's a place where the circulation even can be restricted into that area where you're not getting good circulation into that point, and not getting good waste products from the cells released. Yeah. And so that area, whether it's an area where the fascia is kinked up or congealed, where you cannot get circulation in and out. And so it kind of just sits there. So you can actually, through pressure is one method to release and allow some of those waste products to leave and new blood to get in. Wow. So, there's different ways to treat trigger points, but you're pretty much dead on there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So it's one of those things, again, that's just connected to everything else. Yeah. Your diet, your sleep. I mean, heck, even your relationships, your belief system.
Oh yeah.
It's all connected and in there.
Yeah. The another thing we almost have to talk about is your hope and belief with getting better. That's something that's huge for people. And we're spirit and soul and body, and we can't try to get better in our bodies when our soul's not prospering and our spirit. So it's and vice versa. You can have someone who spiritually might be really healthy but making really poor choices in their body with what they put in their body. So we all play together, but gratitude, being thankful, Dr. Carolyn Leaf. Yeah. I mean, she writes so much on our soul prospering and so much on gratitude and our thought processes. Our thoughts become things, and there's that's extremely biblical. That our thought processes really are a prophecy of what our life's the direction our life's gonna take. Totally. And so that when it comes to getting better and why some people get better and why some people don't get better, that can be a huge factor in our level of hope and our level of belief and our gratitude about life. Yeah.
I mean, that hits so close to home for me, because I wrestled with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts about 4 years straight. And tough season in my life, but it was the mixturing of high intensity exercise, which I learned through my DNA panel that is like all of my muscle is fast twitch muscle fiber, basically. And I thrive even under mentally. There's a gene that I have that like helps me remember better, think better, feel better through when I have high intensity exercise in my life. Wow. So it was when I started doing that and sunk my teeth into I will have glistening hope in my life at any cost. Yeah. And like I don't feel it. It's terrifying to wake up in the morning. It's years now. It definitely feels like, and I had to come to the point where this could be the rest of my life. Like I might spend the next 75 years with crippling fear and anxiety.
Wow.
But I'm just not giving up. And I'm just like drawing a line in the sand now that sure, like you could do that, devil, but I'm going to be over here and I'm going to have hope and I'm going to choose it. And like that's where I will live because that's what's true. Even if my experience in my physical malady or my emotions or whatever is over there, I will live over here in truth. So
wow, that's powerful.
It was the mixturing of like radical belief system shifts and change and like declarations and talking at myself in the mirror when I didn't feel like it, and trusting when I had felt like I had no trust, the Lord and people. Exercise, nutrition, that like boom.
Wow.
Like it was a really radical shift. It was like within a matter of a couple months things started really turning around for me in terms of my mental health.
Wow.
And my mental health dramatically affected my physical health.
Yeah.
Like if I was like having a really rough week, I would be like physically like lead blanket on me.
Right.
Like everything kind of hurt. I'd kind of like curl in a little bit. Hard to digest food, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
But the power of belief. Massive.
Yeah. So true.
Massive.
That's huge.
Tell me about your book.
Oh yeah,
I've never dug into your book with you before. You told me the story of like writing it, waking up ridiculously early for a long time in the mornings before your kids.
Yeah.
But
the truth about the book is it needs a revision. That's the bare truth is that I need to revise things because there's a lot I feel like there's changed and shifted. I revised it once, but yeah, it needs another revision. But it's I love when people can help themselves, and it sounds like trying to work out of a job, which I am. That's the whole goal, is empower people, so they can do 90% of it without a practitioner, and they can make those choices. So yeah, I definitely start out with a whole fascia or a whole chapter on water drinking and some basic nutrition things and what to avoid.
Okay.
But then chapter 2 is all about the fascia.
Does it kind of go through by order of maybe priority? Chapter by chapter? What's the structure of the
chapter
book?
by chapter? After the first 2 chapters, then it goes by body part. So not that we should, break one body part down from the other, but it does people with, if your pain's in your low back, here's a whole bunch of self-help things to try. If your shoulder pain, here's a bunch of self-help things to try. Stretches and strengthening. Same thing. So there's neck, shoulder, low back, knee, foot and ankle. So,
I'm going to interrupt you for a sec because you just reminded me of something we were talking about earlier, and then we'll jump back in, but I'm sure it's connected. Maintenance, physical upkeep and maintenance, stretching, rolling, lacrosse balls. What do you do, or what would you recommend for people on a regular basis to keep fascia moving properly, keep blood flow, keep nerves firing, all of the above?
Yeah.
What could people do at home?
Yeah. You'll have your fascia will be, we talked all about why our fascia might get stuck. And so the first thing I would say to do is, if you're finding that you're having to do that a lot, like a lot of rolling, let's say, or a lot of stretching, then step back and say, okay, is there different things here in my diet I could do to do? Because I would always come back with your thoughts and your diet and those things as the basis. Okay. Let's get that first, and then, okay, what do I need to do specifically to stretch or roll this area? So there's just different studies about how long I should hold the stretch or how long, but movement, we just need more movement in our society. So I don't really think, if you're going to one guy holds a stretch for 15 seconds, another guy holds it for 32 seconds. As long as you're both moving, you're going to get some good benefit. So stretching that fascia is really essential for places in our society that get tight. So for instance, I mean, the classic ones are the front of the neck and the front of the shoulders are the areas that get tight when we are forward, forward, whatever we're doing with the computer or we're driving. Everything is forward with repetitive tasks. So stretching and opening up the front of the neck and the front of the pectorals. Like some of the most effective stretches are chest stretches to open up this fascia and front of the neck. So that's those need to be done, I think, on a daily basis. Some form
just
of
because
opening
we're
movement
so
because
forward. Phone, writing, read, drive.
Yeah.
You said it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So there's some maintenance things there. I love foam rollers, just even for the vertical alignment of them.
Yeah.
Just laying down on them, laying down on a foam roller, stretching from your head down to your tailbone.
Yeah.
You're on your back with your arms open like a T.
So the roller's down the spine.
Yeah.
Like right along.
Yes.
Long ways.
Yes.
Not horizontally, but long way down your spine.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that one. You taught me how to do that one. Like thinking about a string.
Yeah.
Kind of pulling your head
exactly.
up. And then trying to put your lower back, touching it to the bottom of the roller and laying there and just letting that decompression happen all through the back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And as you naturally think of elongating through, like, you're going from this sort of posture to, I'm going to be pulled up by a string on the top of my head, so I'm going to be going up. My chin I'm not forcing it back, but it's naturally going to come back. As I'm pulled on that string up to the sky, I'm naturally going to allow my chin to relax back. And my ear comes over top of my shoulders naturally. It's not going to be way forward. Because all those postural things affect the fascia and how hard the connective tissue and muscles have to work in order to keep my head from falling down. My muscles are working overtime if I'm in this sort of posture for hours.
Interesting.
As opposed to if I'm up here in this sort of posture, then the vertebrae are more stacked on top of each other as opposed to not being aligned.
Right.
So I forget where we're going because I started talking about posture.
Daily maintenance.
Oh, daily, yeah. But that's one of the best daily maintenance ones is that vertical foam roller one. That's huge. But
how long
I love
would you do that for?
2 or 3 minutes just to let yourself really sink
Beginning
into
of the
it.
day, end of the day?
That one probably more end of the day.
Okay.
But I love whole body stretching. Some people are okay with yoga, some people aren't okay with yoga. But that type of whole body movement is what is so healthy. So whole body stretching where...
With a yoga kind of blueprint or that kind of genre. Yeah. Not that it has to be exactly yoga.
Yeah, exactly.
But something whole that encompasses the whole body, and stretching mixed with movement that's kind of what you're getting at?
Absolutely, because you're holding... you can do an isolated stretch of a certain muscle, and you can get, I'm going to stretch my forearm here, right? But that's only one part, and if we think that the fascia is all connected, I could stretch my forearm right here, but to make that even a bigger stretch, I could be on the floor with this all elongated, so it stretches my fascia, let's say all the way up through here, or in, a lot of different stretching whole body movements. I'm going to allow my hip flexors to stretch and be reaching and twisting. Those are when movement gets really healthy for you, when you have the reaching, the twisting, and all those dynamic movements combined. Yeah, so that is what we need as a society. We need a lot of those stretching breaks built in. Yeah. Because we don't do it all as much of that as normal, or as we used to.
It's a powerful thing. I feel a pretty significant mental boost, an emotional shift even after I have really taken it's almost I almost would liken it to like someone just drained some sort of toxic thing out of me. I don't know. It's not like, oh, I'm on drugs now, or like I have this amazing ecstasy feeling or whatever, but it's kind of a subtle thing, but it definitely, there's an effect that goes on there.
I mean, we haven't talked on the lymphatic system at all, but it's the body's detoxification garbage truck system.
Okay,
right?
Can we go there real quick and maybe
Yeah.
we'll wrap it up? Because tell me about that. I've never quite understood. It's a gravity-fed system,
Yeah.
from what I understand.
Gravity and muscle contraction.
And muscle contraction.
That's why
okay.
movement's so important, because if your detoxification system gets stuck, what'll move it along is muscle contractions. That pumping of the muscles will move the lymphatic system along.
Okay.
So the lymphatic system, if you look at, again, I should have brought better visuals, but the lymphatic system is a system of vessels and nodes that looks really similar to the circulatory system, like all the blood vessels. So there's tons of lymph vessels and nodes all throughout your body.
What is a node?
It's a center where of vessels where the lymphatic vessels will go to, and then the center is where the lymph can be like more processed, and the lymph drains. Drains and gets processed and detoxified then by the body. But
and then into the liver and out through P and number 2?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
okay. But you're talking about
we think of when we think of the lymph system, we immediately think, okay, here's a lymph node, and that's usually where we stop. But there's lymph nodes all around the body. They just happens to be a lot here, in the chest and then the groin. Those are kind of lymph centers where a lot of it pools and collects to.
Whoa.
So the lymphatic system needs to move freely. And so when you talk about like you moved and you stretched and then you felt like released and relieved and you felt like you kind of detoxed.
Yeah.
That's so true, that like lymphatic system or the detoxification system needs to move to properly detoxify.
Really?
Because that lymphatic flow happens with movement.
So there actually is a detox effect.
Oh yeah.
It's not just in my head.
Right.
Whoa.
Right. So true.
Why do these get swollen when you're sick?
Because a lot of that immune response with the white blood cells and all that, and so your body is fighting intruders.
Okay.
And so we have a lot of cellular death going on, a lot of that mucus and mucoid level. So that has to be your body's trying to get rid of that, right? So they get like swelled up and puffy because they're working overtime.
Okay.
They're like in detoxification overdrive to get rid of that, just because of what your body's fighting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sherry, your wife, told me at one point about her like mini trampoline and how bouncing apparently was like really good for lymph.
Yeah.
Can you describe that at all to me?
Yeah, it can help with lymphatic flow. I don't know if I know exactly why, but that oscillatory effect it seems to have a really profound effect on the lymphatic system and to try to help that pump back to the heart and help to get that recirculated. Yeah, because what's the furthest place from it would be down the feet and the ankles, and that's where a lot of people maybe as we age or get older or have surgeries or problems, that's where we get extra fluid, and that's where like our ankles start swelling or that sort of thing. So sometimes it's a circulatory issue, sometimes it's a lymphatic issue. So,
interesting.
But it's always a nutrition issue. Sorry.
It is always
have I said that 42 times?
No, that's really, really good.
It's like whatever system we're talking about, it almost always comes back to
because you are what you eat,
thinking,
right?
Yeah, what we're thinking about and what we're ingesting. Yeah.
Wow. A couple more things on the lymph system. How do you take care of it? Movement?
Water.
Lemon
water.
Okay.
In the morning.
Because will water like help move things through?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Is it like veins?
Yeah.
That are filled with little fluid things and that actually like...
And it help direct, there's larger ones and smaller ones, but it helps direct those toxins out of the legs, out of the trunk. Does the
blood do that? Or
yes, the blood does too.
To help take toxins and things through. Is it act like a filter essentially?
Yes. I mean, the blood will do that too, but the lymphatic system will even differently.
Okay.
Yeah. So they both will have that effect, and they both have to get cleaned out and circulated.
And so water
Yeah, water, lemon water, different essential oils that can be powerful for that. But just good clean, the nutritional things we talked about and cleaning, that can really clean up the lymphatic system as well too.
Okay.
Along with movement. That would be probably the 4 things.
4 main things.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would be some of the effects of having a backed up lymphatic system or a dysfunctional lymphatic system?
I mean, there's certain. I mean, I see people all the time. It's usually people who are older in years who actually have the swelling. So the swelling or lymphatic lymphedema is actually a diagnosis, or the lymphatic system is not moving well. So you actually get swelling in the wrist or swelling in an ankle. So that's probably the obvious answer would be you can see the swelling. It's palpable and you can see it. So that's one way. But just stiffness is another. Like you're like I have you have toxins in here, even like at the cellular level, like the lactic acid and things aren't being detoxified well. So yeah, I'm stiff because
kind of sore.
It's not because I'm not moving well through there.
Interesting.
So I'd say there's the more subtle, or there's the really obvious ways to tell. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
One of the things, unfortunately, I can't remember the mechanism of why this works or even what it's called. So I'm going to do a great job of being very specific.
That's good.
But one of my, I really like listening to a guy named Ben Greenfield on podcast. Mm-hmm. He was America's, fitness coach of the year or something a while back, and has he's like one of the quintessential biohackers of the day. And so he has a lot of really insightful people on, and he one of the things he does in the morning is he goes outside first thing, and he does this jumping thing where it's just like almost like a jump rope. Think about your hands out to your side, no jump rope, but it's similar to as if you were on a rebounder little trampoline. And he just jumps and lets his hands kind of like flap, like that kind of motion, and it's just this steady, like jump a couple inches off the ground, and you're just getting blood flow going. And he said it had something really good to do with your lymph system as well. Do you know if there's something that goes on there first thing in the morning at all? But it seems to really affect me first thing in the morning.
That's really neat. There's so many areas I don't know as much.
Totally.
So no, I'm not sure on that exact technique, if there's a certain timing to it. I'm not sure, but that sounds really interesting.
Maybe something to it, having laid down for all those hours, and everything is just very still, and stagnant probably wouldn't be the right word for it, but to help get movement going. My ideal morning routine is wake up, grab my heart rate variability Bluetooth monitor, my chest strap that costs $15 on Amazon. Everyone should go buy one. And read up on HRV because we don't have time to go into it. But it's one of those simple ways to download an app, get a monitor, and then track. You have numbers and graphs to be able to look at, I ate this last night, and now look at what my heart rate variability is doing. Or I did this yesterday, or I worked out, or I overworked out, or, so today I need to, today's a rest workout day or a recovery day. Whole nother topic, but my ideal morning routine is wake up, get outside immediately, strap that thing on as I'm getting sunlight, and get a reading as I'm still, and then jump around a little bit, maybe do just some movement, some squats or the bouncing rebounder thing. Get inside, get some water, maybe a cup of tea. Get into the Word. Is my ideal kind of go to the morning, I think.
You're hitting your spirit and your soul and your body, and
Would you look at that?
You're connecting with all of it.
It's good. I don't do it. enough like that, but I'm aiming at it.
Yeah, but what do so many of us do in the morning? We flip over our phone.
Oh.
And we start reacting.
Yes.
And then that optimal window for setting the precedent of our day is sometimes lost.
Yes.
But yeah, that's so good for how you really want to be intentional about your life. And you've lived it, like you've been on both sides of the coin, and you know what it feels like, and you know what you had to choose to get where you want to be.
Totally. Yeah, that's good.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So, tell me, Chet, how can people reach you? How can people see you?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, our website is ourhealthculture.com. So ourhealthculture.com, that's one way. Just email is chet@ourhealthculture.com, and those email, website, text me, call me, Facebook. It's all on Facebook would be Health Culture Physical Therapy.
Okay.
So a number of ways, but yeah, certainly I love to do video calls with people. Whether we're talking people in the area or people out of the area, video calls, phone calls, any of those.
Great.
I love to connect and encourage people that way too. So.
Great.
Yeah.
And do you specialize in a certain area of recovery, you'd say, or is it anyone that you would see in your practice?
Great. Yeah, I really don't see a lot of infants, children, babies. Everything else, everything else fair game from 100 down to little kids.
Yeah.
I've worked on little kids, but I don't really work on babies, infants very much. But otherwise, athletes, elderly, kind of, we all have bodies, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great, man. So we'll link up some stuff in the description so people can reach out to you. Any final ideas or thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say, there's no time like now. I don't know when this is going to be posting or that sort of thing, but
it'll be this week.
But there's so much of the time we know what we should do. It's just a matter of that internal motivation to do it. So we all have to to come to that moment or that place where we make the choice to do what we know we should do. We could talk about a lot of theories and what we should do with this system or that system, but a lot of time it comes down to our motivation. And if we really have a deep why and we really connect with, okay, this is why I want to make a change.
Yes.
Maybe it's a health wake-up call or a health scare, or it's something with our children or our kids. And that triggers us to be like, okay, now I need to make a change. That's really what we need to think about, maybe journal about, maybe talk to God about how we're going to make that shift or that change. Not just for our health to help our shoulder feel better, but our overall body. Yeah. So getting that why, and now with some of the things that are going on in the nation and our world with health scares and pandemics, that's a real moment where I think a lot of people can be in that point of decision where it's like, okay, I'm gonna actually make a change in my health now. I want my immune system to be way more ready than I was a year ago. I want to really keep this as this physical health as a priority to affect my spirit and my soul too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Epic.
So this is
real quick, how do you do that? How have you done that personally? Of like, okay, I've been putting this on hold, putting this on hold, putting this on hold. Where do you pull motivation from just to get it done? You're a 3, so you have maybe a disproportionate amount of get up and go, or I will just get it done. But any ideas on how you've practically done that?
Great Great question. I mean, I definitely put some things off. Ask my wife. I mean, there's certain things that need to be done in the house that I'll put off. There's not a big enough why.
Sure, totally.
So no, I'll put some things off, but I guess when the we can either be motivated by, usually it's like by, some people would say fear or love. We can be motivated by pleasure or pain, and so sometimes there's a point where being motivated by pain or by fear, it's actually okay. I mean, that's not optimal, but it's actually okay. To realize that, we're not going to run out in front of the street because we're going to get hit by a car. I mean, some of those things are logical, but
Yes.
so there's a point where we might get a diagnosis or a health scare where that motivation happens externally to us from fear. I'd say it's way, way better that we could be motivated by developing a
Like
passion
vision.
for something, by vision, and by being passionate for a positive goal that we want. And that could, I think, talked a little bit about thoughts and mentioned journaling, but if you really give yourself the time to get quiet and ask yourself, what are you wanting in life, and develop some goals and a vision for your life, some of that's going to happen when you really stop and have the space out of our busy lives to say, where do I want my life to go and where's my vision? And then you can make decisions on where you want to go based out of love and based out of your passion instead of based out of being scared and reaction and fear.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't know if that answers your question, but that's things I've been trying to work on.
It does.
In my life.
I think for me, it's such a. I was talking to Bethany a while ago about this, but it's as if we have an never-ending access to information of what should be done.
Yeah.
But we lack the culture surrounding that information. So for me, for an easy example of then the question becomes, how do you create the culture of health and nutrition around you so that culture is here, but the information is over here. And the culture, so this is one of the reasons why we love, Bethany and I, being around you and Sherry and going over to your house, is because we get sucked in and assimilated into the most intense, dialed in, not messing with you, profound, powerful, mind brainwashing culture of health, fitness, nutrition, like that we know. So just being around you guys and the things you don't even know you're doing anymore because it's so second nature, but the way you guys so steward your health and your nutrition and make the most incredible food and are consistent in all these areas, it is it's like a greenhouse effect. Like I've heard the culture described. It's like it's a greenhouse, and a greenhouse is a space that is controlled light, temperature, water, all of these things to make what you want to grow. And it's as if you have the seeds of knowledge to get super metaphorical with it, but that needs to be in the right environment. And so for me, it's getting around people. Right. If I'm not inspired in my prayer life to pray, I have to get around people in a greenhouse who
so true.
Are also inspired to pray. And then there's a movement there, or or I will read a book on prayer or read a book on nutrition. So something that I've implemented into my calendar is every week I have a reminder that pops up, listen to a podcast on health, fitness, or nutrition, because I know if I'm listening to someone who's jacked on this next new thing or this new science coming out about how to really steward this God-given body, that's going to rub off on me. That passion and that vision, that I'm going to get some of that culture on me, and it's going to have a profound effect. And it's in every area of life, man.
Yeah.
finance.
Yeah.
Like, just name your
Right.
your spot.
Right.
So
it's having those mentors and being in that culture. That's so true. It's the power of who we have influencing our life, right?
Yeah. What voices we're letting in and all that stuff. But love you, man. This was awesome.
That's tremendous.
I learned a lot.
It's really fun.
I'm ready to juice fast.
Okay.
I'm serious. That's an intense thing to say, but like,
it's hard. It's so rewarding, but yet it's so hard at the same time. It's kind of that if I had a need to, if I had a, let's say I had a pain in my body that was really, really stubborn, well then there's my why right there, and it's like then that makes the juice fasting so much easier when I really have a
really specific thing.
Right.
Because that really that will ramp up healing.
Oh yeah.
In a pretty profound way.
Yeah.
Autophagy and all those things. Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Love you, man. That's good. Okay.
Awesome.